So my name is Shawn Luz. I'm the Sustainability Coordinator for the City of Framingham. I'm joined tonight by Michael Varney, Lead Energy Specialist for Clear Result, which is the lead vendor for Eversource's energy efficiency program. I'm also joined by Peter House, who is an Associate Energy Efficiency Consultant at Eversource. And I'm also joined by Amy Puelka, who's a member of the Framingham community, a leader of Sustainable Framingham, and also a extremely important member of our community outreach team for a Mass Save Municipal Partnership. So let's get started. Just click here. So before we do completely jump in, just want to let you know, if you have any questions, you can type them in using the chat function. You should see the little speech bubble at the bottom of your screen. Additionally, we're going to be having a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. So we'll be pulling questions from that chat to answer. Also, the workshop will be recorded. We'll be posting that on the same website, the city website, the same page that you went on to find the registration link. And I'm going to also try to send out an email with that along with the slides. So just in case you have any questions, or if you'd like to share with family and friends that might be interested in getting a virtual energy assessment, or interested in any of these other offers. So one last intro message. So tonight's workshop is brought to you in part by Mass Save and Eversource. As I mentioned, we're working with them through a Mass Save Municipal Partnership, which is a community outreach program. We want residents and our local businesses to take advantage of Mass Save to save energy, reduce their utility bill costs, improve the comfort of their homes and businesses and multifamily properties, and also reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. So finally, to begin, what are the reasons to become more energy efficient? I'm sure a lot of you, I see a lot of familiar faces. I'm sure a lot of you know some of the most important reasons. But whether you own a single family home, or you rent an apartment, or you manage a large multifamily property, there are a variety of ways that you can improve your energy efficiency, and in doing so, bring a variety of benefits to your home and to the community. So for example, on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see indoor air quality is one of the benefits of energy efficiency. So for example, if you're installing a new high efficiency heating or cooling system that includes ventilation upgrades, that's a way that you could benefit from improved air quality in your home. Improved comfort. Insulation is such a great measure, and we'll be talking about that a lot tonight. In addition to helping you stay cooler in the summer and warmer in the winter, improved insulation can even help you block out unwanted noise from the neighborhood in your home. Additionally, of course, when you reduce your energy usage, you're also helping reduce your greenhouse gas emissions, which is important for our planet. And something that just recently today was announced that we got our Green Communities grant, and we're going to be working hard on our own energy efficiency projects. So that's and I know that's a goal that a lot of attendees in this meeting share. And then in addition, another major advantage of becoming more energy efficient is, of course, reducing your energy costs. And so a lot of the different project types that we'll be discussing today there'll be very low cost measures that will bring about immediate energy savings. And so while there are many ways that you can become more energy efficient, and many ways to start the process, whether it's looking at specific projects for your home or your business or your multifamily property, one of the easiest ways to get started is with the Mass Save program. So you might be familiar with Mass Save. Basically, it's an initiative that's sponsored by the utility companies of Massachusetts, including Eversource, as well as the Department of Energy Resources. Its main goal is to help residents and businesses manage their energy use and costs. And so they do this by providing services like trainings, rebates, incentives, all to help you, save energy. And it's important that you know that you already invest in this program if you pay a electric or gas utility bill. So every month there's an energy efficiency charge, and you can see that on the right-hand side as an example. This is essentially your investment in the program. And so the reason why we want you to know that is, if you're not taking advantage of your investment, there might be some great opportunities you're missing out on. For example, you can see here this awesome chart prepared by Amy goes through a bunch of energy savings measures that you can get either incentivized or get rebates for through Mass Save. So whether it's LED bulbs, which you can get at no cost, smart power strips, insulation and air sealing, which right now is 100% off for approved insulation. And then in addition, there's even 0% interest loans for some of the more major energy efficiency projects you might be doing in your home. And so the big question is always, how do we get started? Who do we work with? So Clear Results is the Eversource Energy Efficiency Program lead vendor. And so they will be the common point of contact for many homeowners, renters, and landlords that participate in the Mass Save program. Clear Result performs energy assessments, such as the virtual home energy assessments we'll talk about today. And they do that to help you evaluate your opportunities to save energy and then also inform you about what incentives might be available. A Clear Results energy specialist will also help connect you to an independent contractor to install different measures. There's a lot of no-cost measures that can be installed, either during an energy assessment on site or shortly thereafter. But for some of the more complex measures, they'll help connect you to the people who can do that work. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Michael Varney. He's the lead energy specialist for the Clear Result. He'll be taking over this point to guide you through this process and the program more generally. So Mike, the virtual floor is yours. I will now mute my mic and make sure that the camera is on you.
Thank you, Shawn, and welcome everybody. Glad to be here and kind of speaking with you guys about, again, what Mass Save can offer you. So we'll kind of go through, dig in a little bit more detail about what the program can offer you if it's something that you guys should take advantage of. And Shawn, we can, yep, perfect. So just a quick overview of kind of the steps to take advantage of the program. You guys are already checking off step one. Is basically just learning about the program to see what's available to you and see if it's a good fit. Step two from there, after today's call, is figuring out how to take advantage of it, whether it be doing a quick online home energy assessment questionnaire to see if it's something that you would qualify and benefit from. And then from there, if it is something you want to take advantage of, working through one of our two avenues, whether it's our new virtual home energy assessment program, which is really, really doing well. And then our virtual, where that leaves off, if you guys do want to do an in-person assessment, we are doing those as well. We'll touch base about some of the safety procedures as well that are going on right now due to COVID-19. Step three at that point is working with your energy specialist and figuring out what energy saving recommendations are in place for you, what you'd qualify for. And then step four, picking and choosing which ones you want to actually go with, whether it be the instant savings products like light bulbs, weatherization improvements like insulation, product and appliance rebates for heating, cooling, hot water systems, central AC, whatever it might be. Your specialists will be able to, at that point, take you right through anything that you'd be eligible for. So I know it's definitely going to be a question, and it's definitely on the forefront, is, what are we doing different due to COVID-19? And safety is among, the highest important to us. So kind of going from there, redesigning how we did this program, COVID-19 kind of led us to a lot of more safety features in place. So pre-screening questionnaires are done for all customers to make sure that they're not symptomatic and haven't been in contact with anyone symptomatic. Guidance for customers upon arrival for in-person assessments will be to again, keep their social distancing from the specialist while they're in the home. Any discussions between the customer and that energy specialist will be done at distance or done after the fact, over the phone or through email. And for our specialists who are in the field, new shoe covers, gloves, eye protections, masks, the whole 9 yards. So we want to make sure that anything that we're touching is, again, separated from contact. Any products we're leaving behind, whether it be LED light bulbs, shower heads, power strips, thermostats, they're all disinfected. That way, again, we're reducing any chances as much as is possible anyway. So during our virtual home energy assessment, that's something you want to take advantage of and kind of not do the in-person. Like I said, the virtual is taking off really, really well. It's, you know, just like the in-person, but a little bit more customer involved. And what you'll receive is a customized energy assessment report, kind of showing your home and what could be done and what you could potentially save. The energy savings products that you and your specialist will determine if you're eligible for. What we'll do is count those out and actually have them shipped directly to your door for you to install. And as Shawn mentioned, there's a limited time offer right now for 100% incentivized installation work. So it'll be done at zero cost. So I'll talk about a little bit more of the dates and some of the restrictions on that limited time offer, but you guys still have time to sign up. As long as you sign up by the end of the month, you're eligible for the 100% incentive, saying the work is done before March 31st. So we'll talk about a few of those details coming up as well. And part of that report is going to be, again, listing out those no-cost air sealing and weatherization opportunities and how to move forward with them in the future. As far as heating systems go, there's rebates, huge rebates of up to $2,750 depending on the systems that you have in place. And again, as Shawn mentioned, the 0% financing is a huge, huge program benefit that's eligible for you guys as customers. I'll definitely touch base on that. It's a huge question customers have, and it's a huge opportunity as well. So how the virtual assessments work, right over the phone, just like we're doing now. It's very similar to this, and the customer will give us a live tour of the home, and the specialist will guide them through the tour into the areas that we deem more important for energy savings, right? Not every single bedroom is going to be necessary, but some of the bigger areas like the basement, the attic, some of the exterior, just kind of getting a feel for the building and where those potential energy savings might be. You and your specialist will do that virtual tour and identify, again, what energy saving improvements can be made and which ones we can ship to you that you guys can install yourselves. It's a huge opportunity, again, for no contact, which is great, and an opportunity for you to start your savings journey, which is always nice. So what do I need to do for a virtual home energy assessment? Again, it's definitely having full access to your home, again, the attic, the basement, and just being comfortable working through that technology. I know it's a hurdle for some, others it comes like second nature, but it's very, very easy. We work with all customers in between. So working with that technology to do that tour, very, very easy. It's a great program. It's working out really well. And if an in-home appointment may be needed, we can definitely schedule that with you as well. So we're going to do a quick poll here. Shawn's going to activate a poll that you guys should see at the bottom of your screen under polls. And we're going to ask you, a question here about what you're most interested in learning about from today. And based off those results, we'll kind of delve more into the few topics that might be on the, you guys forefront for questions.
All right, great. We'll give it just 10 more seconds.
Yeah. All right, so I know it's an interesting thing, right? 100% off the installation, so we'll definitely hit base on that. It's a very, very cool limited time offer. We'll definitely want to delve into that. And I noticed there's a lot of questions on the heat pump technology as well. We do have a few really good slides that help break it down a little bit more into digestible pieces that we can understand the technology. I know it seems kind of burdensome to look at, but we'll definitely delve in and make sure you guys understand it by the end of this presentation. All right. So just a quick summary of the savings opportunities that exist for you. Again, no cost products like we mentioned, light bulbs, shower heads, programmable thermostats, up to 100% off the approved installation. Again, your specialists will make those recommendations and show you how to move forward with that. Some of the bigger rebates will come in the form for heating systems. And again, up to $2,750 for certain items. And again, the heat loan, the 0% financing, which we'll touch base on as well. So part of the no-cost energy savings products list, we have a huge product list that we work through our vendors to achieve and make available for you as customers. The biggest one, most of you probably heard about the LED light bulbs and how Mass Save's a big proponent of installing those. With COVID-19, obviously, it's a little bit trickier, but we want to make sure at least you have those products to install yourself. So as most know, LED bulbs are much more efficient, right? In most cases, over the regular glass incandescent style, they're 80 to 90% less energy using, which is great, and they last about 15 times as long. In most cases, anywhere from 10 to 15 years. So those tricky to reach, hard to reach areas with the recessed lights, once the bulbs are in, you're probably good for quite some time with that. With the smart power strips, we can delve into a little bit at the end as well about the exact mechanics of how these work, but essentially it's used for certain areas like your home entertainment system and your desktop computer, which might have multiple devices, DVDs, speakers, Blu-rays, printers, subwoofers, these things that use energy when the main device isn't. That's where these power strips really come in and help with the savings. And we can, again, delve into that a little bit towards the Q&A section as well. Your energy specialist can help you install programmable thermostats when they're on site if they're doing that, which allows you to set up customized running schedules, and of course, for your HVAC systems, which will, one, lower your energy bills, which is always nice, and also extends the service life of your system. If it's running less, it'll last longer. So it's a win-win for that. As far as water savings goes, it's one of those things where we never really think about how much water we're using, but the utilities, Eversource, it's always part of the efficiency gain that we want to see, and also just saving the planet water usage and overusage at that. So what we can do is give you advanced shower heads, and I know everyone's thinking low flow. The pressure is matched, and essentially what you save over the normal shower heads you can pick up in the store is almost 3/4 of a gallon per minute. So it's a huge amount of water savings. Think about how many faucets and showers you might have and how long you might take a shower, wash your hands, especially in the time of COVID-19. Any water savings, even in 30 seconds worth, it adds up over the course of a year. So again, your specialist will help you facilitate the installation of those. And as far as weatherization goes, which is just a blanket term for bulking up the insulation in your home. So one is the no-cost air sealing, which we will touch base on in a little bit, but essentially is sealing up the air leakage points where air is getting into your home. And insulation improvements, and again, we're harping on the 100% incentivization right now, but essentially bulking up the insulation, whether it's in the basement, the exterior walls, the attic, if you have a Cape-style home, those front and rear knee walls that might exist, those little areas where it gets really cold in the winter and really hot in the summer, that's especially where the insulation is going to help. And with the heating and cooling system rebates, I know there might be some questions about this as to, is my system old enough to merit replacement, or it's really old and I want to know what's out there? We can definitely touch base on that. And again, with your specialist, they'll give you a little bit more info, but pretty much everything has a rebate to it, whether it's a natural gas furnace or boiler, high efficiency oil furnaces and boilers, propane, and central AC for dated systems that might need replacement. There's rebates for those. I know there was a good amount of interest for the central and ductless mini splits, which we'll definitely delve into as well. All of these systems have rebates in place and are financeable with the 0% interest heat loan. So we'll definitely delve and spend a little bit of time here on the heat pump technology. Everyone's seen them and they all have their opinions on if they're a little bit obtrusive when you look at them inside, but the technology is fantastic. These are extremely efficient systems, because what they do is essentially move heat rather than creating it. So, on the next slide, we'll talk about a little bit more of the details, but you'll see in this picture, there's an outside compressor, just like a normal central AC system, but in the mini split setup, you have your head units on the inside. And what they do, again, is move heat, whether it's from the inside to the outside in the summertime or from, believe it or not, in the winter. It can extract heat from the outside air and pull it inside. And because it's not creating energy, it's much more efficient because it's just simply moving it through the compression of your regular refrigerant that you'd find in most systems. So the two most common types, again, are central and mini split. So mini split are the ones with the head units. And on the next page, we'll show you exactly how those systems look. So this is our central heat pump system, much like a regular furnace, right? A forced hot air furnace with central AC. It's the same distribution system. There's ductwork that goes throughout the house. It's just a different means of moving or creating heat. And again, these systems are much more efficient than most oil and propane electric systems. So it's definitely something that we'll delve into again on what it could save you, and also between you and your specialist figuring out that's something that might be a benefit to the house. But most common solutions for homes that have, heating systems with that central ductwork, the central heat pump's a huge benefit to that as well. And with our traditional mini split, this is the one most people are pretty familiar with. They've seen them. You'll see the head unit up on the exterior wall. And what those do is they work on the same principle of window unit ACs, meaning that if you had one in a main room, but there's secondary bedrooms and you were to close those, if there's no head unit in the bedroom, that's where you'd have to install one. They kind of work on line of sight just like a regular window unit AC does. But the beauty of these systems is because they're split up, you can heat and cool just certain areas of the home rather than the entire thing or entire floors for that matter. So, allows you a lot of customizing, where we're going to actually put that conditioned air. The savings that's attributed to this is pretty dramatic over oil and propane electric. Again, your specialists will be able to help you out kind of seeing if that's something that you guys should look into. And with the rebates in place, the 0% financing, it's definitely a lot more possible than it was a few years ago. So I mentioned the heat loan, and Shawn mentioned it as well, this 0% financing. So what's nice about the loan here, what we call our heat loan, is it covers a huge variety of things that you could finance. So whether it be insulation, if you guys miss out on the 100% incentive, the normal incentivization rate is 75%. So you'd only pay 25% of the cost. If that 25% of the cost is too much for you to just drop the liquid capital on, no problem. The heat loan's there. Insulation, heating and cooling systems, hot water systems, solar hot water systems. If you have solar already and you wanted to do a Tesla battery, the battery storage installation can be covered. If you have really old single pane windows, if there's other insulation work being done, you're eligible to finance the replacement of those as well. If there's any safety hazards, whether it be any asbestos or old wiring that might be original to the home that need to be updated, the loan can help out with that as well. And it's, again, 0% interest, up to $25,000 and up to 7-year terms. It's a huge program. A lot of customers take advantage of it. It's a huge tool that we offer to our customers. And it's worth noting, income eligible residents, aren't forgotten by any stretch. So we'll talk about here is, what further incentives exist for income eligible residents. The energy savings upgrades that are normally incentivized for regular customers. If you're on an incentivized rate through the utilities, you can get a lot of that work done at zero cost. Heating and hot water systems done at zero cost. Appliances is a lot offered to you in that respect. Also discounted utility bill rates through the utilities, which is awesome. And the home heating bill assistance through the federal low-income home energy assistance program is available to you as well. So if you have any interest or you think you might qualify for that, you can head right over to masssave.com/income eligible, and you'll see the chart on the right shows the average annual household income, and see if you guys fall in that bracket. There's a lot of good programs and a lot of good incentivization there for you if you do qualify. So part of the incentives with that, again, no cost for single family and 2 to 4 family homes if more than half of the units have low income qualifying tenants. Typically this will cover the air sealing, the insulation, appliance savings, and heating system upgrades, which is nice. So kind of basing off of that, again, incentives to help keep the home safe. If there are any what we call pre-weatherization barriers, something that would prevent the contractors from further insulating a home or updating the heating system, whether it be, again, old wiring or asbestos pipe wrap for the heating system or old vermiculite insulation, which might have asbestos. All of those can be very expensive to remediate. And the heat loan is there for regular customers. And then for income eligible customers, there are federal grants in place of up to $7,000 in some cases to help get rid of those, make the home, again, healthier, safer, and allow for the upgrade of some of the appliances as well, which is awesome. And renters, condo owners, landlords, and condo association board members, again, you're not forgotten. This program offers something for everybody. So we'll talk a little bit about what's available to you as well. Most all of the same measures and incentivizations, zero cost items that are eligible in the single family are also available for multifamily units. So for limited time, again, your landlord can receive the 100% off the installation. After September 30th, if they make an appointment, if multiple units move forward, they get 90% off the installation. So it's very cost effective to bulk up the installation, make that thermal envelope a little bit more tight, make things a lot more comfortable for the tenants and a lot more durable of a home anyway. And we'll touch base on some of the benefits that landlords can expect to see if they do take advantage of this. But again, the heating system rebates all still in place for multifamily buildings. So why would a landlord want to make energy saving improvements, even if they're not paying the bills, right? So weatherized buildings have lower rates of tenant turnover. If you're more comfortable, you're more likely to stay. Weatherized buildings, again, less need for space heaters, which is always a concern if you're plugging in multiple units to overload the electrical system, definitely reducing the fire risk, which is always nice. Energy efficient homes are obviously more comfortable, which is great. And again, if you're comfortable, more likely to renew your lease. More efficient apartments offer better protection against energy spikes and extreme weather conditions. You know, we always see freezing pipes. It's usually a cause of lack of insulation in certain areas. So again, reducing that risk is huge. And low-income tenants can qualify the landlord for the weatherization assistance. So if a landlord has a 3-family and the tenants are low-income based, they would get the 90% incentive for that. In most cases, they get 100% incentivization. So your specialist will be able to walk through that. If you are a landlord, if you're a renter, definitely call us in to come through. And what we'll do is give you a customized report that you can show your landlord and try to, incentivize them and, educate them on what's available to them. So, and again, for landlords and condo associations, all the same things still apply. Air sealing, insulation, rebates on heating and cooling, hot water systems, enhanced rebates on clothes washers, which is awesome. Old refrigerator recycling, that's still in place. We have contactless refrigerator recycling, which is great. And an opportunity to apply for the 0% financing, which for multifamily homes goes from $25,000 to $50,000. So if landlords need a little bit more, putting in 3 or 4 heating systems, the loan does extend for that as well. For larger buildings with 5 or more units, again, there's something for everybody. So for these larger multifamily buildings, we do have a newer service that's in place, which is awesome, where we have specialists work for weeks and months on end with the building managers, building owners, and the tenants to kind of get a more in-depth look at these buildings to see if there are updates on a larger scale that we can do. In most cases, again, insulation, heating system upgrades, working with the tenants in each unit to get them the instant savings measures like light bulbs that they might need. So with the option for that, there's also the low income properties as well. Something for everybody, right? leanmultifamily.org is going to have a lot of good information that'll connect you to the community action program incentives that are in place and get you guys the inspections that you need to, again, just learn about what could be done for the home, what you'd qualify for. So we're going to do a quick case study here. And this is my little home up in Haverhill. It's a 1,000 square foot ranch. Nothing fancy, but it's home and I love it. And the first thing I did right when I moved in was got a mass save inspection, right? I know too much, so I knew I had to have it. So this was at a time when work was 75% off for single family homes. So, we did a lot of the air sealing I mentioned, spray foaming, bulking up door kits around the exterior doors, adding a lot more insulation than what the original 1950s home had. All of this work was valued at about $3,600. I, at the time, only had to pay $630. If with about $170 a year in annual savings from the gas and electric from reducing my AC and heating costs. Turns out to be about a 3.7-year return on investment. After that point, the home is making me money on the energy bills. The installation's then paid for itself, and every year, year after year, even for the next homeowner, it's going to save them money over what they would have had beforehand. So it's a real world example to show you that a quick one-day installation job is saving hundreds a year, and this adds up over the course of a lifetime of a home. And again, we're going to recap the steps one more time, and we're going to add an extra one to it. So again, you guys are checked. You hit step 1. Step 2, figuring out if you have interest in it, right? And if you do, which avenue, whether it be virtual, whether you want an in-person assessment done. Again, we'll connect you and give you all the information you need to help, have a specialist head out there or do it virtually. Step 3, hitting those, energy savings recommendations with your specialist, kind of reviewing them, seeing what you're eligible for. Step 4, figuring out, which ones you want to take advantage of, whether it be the instant savings products, insulation, maybe appliance rebates, or looking at the heating and cooling system rebates as well. The extra step, step 5, is actually implementing those projects. So after your specialist will list out the recommended air sealing and insulation work if it's applicable for you, you'll have the option to sign up with one of our in-network contractors. And we have a bunch of contractors across the state. It's all guaranteed pricing through the program, all vetted and insured contractors. You get a free home inspection of the work once it's done if you'd like. The energy specialist will also leave behind the zero-cost LED bulbs. If you do it virtually, we'll have them again shipped right to your door. And you'll also be provided a recommendation list for any HVAC hot water heating system upgrades and the ductless mini splits as well. Again, a good list of what you're eligible for, what might be a good option for the home based off of all the parameters that the energy specialist will then look at. And again, the big part being educated on the 0% interest heat loan. With all the recommendations, if there's, again, out-of-pocket costs, your specialist will let you know what can and can't be financed through the program. And then step 6, after completing your installs, you get to enjoy day after day all of your energy savings and all the work you put in to get to that point from day 1, from day to the end, right? Every day is more and more savings, which adds up.
And so, thank you, Mike. That was a great, run through the program and the process. I think I went back. I apologize about that. Just recapping, what Mike had talked about, we would 100% encourage you to do a virtual home energy assessment. It's a great opportunity to for an energy specialist to really look at the specific opportunities in your home. However, if you have any concerns, or maybe you're thinking, I recently did LED light bulbs, or I, had insulation done on part of my home, and you think that, maybe there might not be many energy savings opportunities for you. Well, I want to provide, we want to provide an additional option, which is the online home energy assessment, not to be confused with the virtual. So this is kind of like a 5-minute survey that you'll enter information about your home and your energy use habits. And basically, after entering in that information, it'll spit out a very high-level overview of what you can expect for energy savings by going through the program, and also give you a very high-level action plan of items that you could look at. So this might be a great opportunity if you've already booked your virtual home energy assessment and you're really impatient, or if, like I said, if you've already done some stuff and you're wondering if there's still opportunity, I would still recommend reaching out about a virtual energy assessment, but the online energy assessment is just another tool for you to utilize. So with that, we want to open it up to the Q&A portion of the workshop. And so I see that we've already had some questions in the chat, but if you have anything that's come up during the presentation, whether it's about mass save, energy efficiency, anything else, feel free to put it in the chat, and Amy will be helping us with the questions. So if there's any that come up, yeah, feel free to ask away.
Great. Thanks, Mike and Shawn, for a great webinar. This has been really informative. We have a couple of really good questions. One you touched on just briefly previously, Shawn, which is someone had an assessment, a couple years ago. What should they do? Are they still eligible for, how often can you have an assessment and that sort of thing? Can you go into that, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So if it's 1 or 2 years ago, your energy specialist, when we took notes at the time, we still have a record of those. I would definitely touch base with my office. They'll connect you back with your energy specialist who was there at the time, and they should be able to facilitate getting you updated contracts or, again, taking you through any questions you might have had that have come up since the assessment. A lot of what we pride ourselves on is being there for our customers even after the assessment is over. We have an intimate understanding of the home at that point with our notes and diagrams that we can usually answer questions very, very quickly. So if you did have an assessment 1 or 2 years ago, definitely reaching out to my office and connecting you with that energy specialist will be the best avenue for you to see what's available to you and see if you can get that installation done.
Great. I have a question on heat pumps.
Yes.
So someone asked for a home with no ducts.
Mm-hmm.
Are there ductless solutions that will work? Can you explain a little bit better or a little more in depth about the mini split?
Sure. Yep, definitely. So for homes that don't have ductwork, which is honestly a plurality of it, most homes have either old steam radiators or baseboards, or maybe even electric baseboards. So that's where the mini split kind of differs from the central heat pump, in that each room that needs it gets one of the head units up on the wall that you'd see in the picture there. And again, the lines run out to the compressor outside, much like a traditional central AC system. And that head unit handles all of the, right there area, that vicinity right there where the head unit is, that's the area it'll condition. So for someone that doesn't have ducts in their home, which is, again, the plurality of it, that's where the mini split technology really, really shines.
Yeah, and would these mini split heat pumps, would they be good for this specific example, an apartment that relies on a gas log stove for its heat source?
Yep. So for a gas log, it's a central heating system. It depends on square footage. And again, the specialist who shows up will kind of help you determine if that's enough, output, right? Does it have enough BTUs to produce enough heat? If there's no other option to add a gas system to help heat that area, ductless mini splits are a great improvement over that. It's going to make things a lot more conditioned, and you get the benefit of doing heat and air conditioning, so you don't have to use your window unit ACs anymore. So lugging those out of the window or leaving a permanent window unit in place, which in the wintertime is obviously allowing a lot of cold air in. So this allows the home to have a much more sealed thermal envelope, but allow you to have the benefits of heat and AC year round.
Great. So if you do move ahead and get heat pumps installed, these mini splits, and you had old baseboard electric heaters,
Yep.
Is their removal part of the work, or how's that play out?
So they're going to be two separate systems that really don't have much to do with each other. And we're definitely in a climate where it gets very cold in some cases in certain years, right? So having an electric standby is always a good backup, right? You turn it down and almost never use it except for the really cold, maybe negative, degree days, those really cold nor'easters. Anything, for basically these technologies have been around for a while. They will work as far as 0 degrees. So it's very rare you'd ever need the electric standby and the baseboard for supplemental heat, but it's always good to have the backup. But for most cases, you'd be running almost solely off the heat pump technology.
Awesome. A question here on the home energy assessments.
Sure.
For a multifamily, is it acceptable to access basement, attic, exterior, and only one of 2 units during the assessment?
Yep, and that's typically how they'll go for these larger multifamily buildings, and that's really, you hit the nail right on the head. It's hitting the thermal boundary, the basement, the attic, and the walls. That's where, if there are insulation recommendations, that's where they're going to lie, and just sealing up the thermal envelope, the exterior of the house. And then looking at 1 or 2, if there's a few different types, like a type A, type B, and type C unit, maybe getting into 1 or 2 of those, and just seeing the layout, see again where certain things are, how many shower heads, how many light bulbs, if there's recessed lights. That way they can extrapolate that to the other units. Yep, you hit the nail right on the head. That's exactly how it works to start.
Okay, so a side-by-side, it's probably okay to do, like if it's a duplex, a side-by-side is probably fine to do one half?
So if it is a duplex or a three-family, we do like to get into all three units, even if it's virtually, just to, again, get an accurate count of any of the light bulbs or shower heads we can give you. If it is an in-person inspection, they are going to want to check the exterior walls for insulation in each floor, and especially with a duplex that might have a shared attic. We want to be able to get into both sides. We want to make sure that, one tenant isn't, or one condo owner isn't insulating the entire attic, and that it's a shared duty between the two attics.
Okay. Question on windows.
Yes.
What can we do about windows? What does MassSave offer?
Yep. So through the heat loan program, again, the 0% interest heat loan, if there is insulation recommendations made, those are required to be moved forward with for the windows to be eligible for financing. That being said, if you are moving forward with insulation and you do want to finance windows, of the $25,000 limit on the loan does cover up to $500 per window, up to $10,000 for 0% financing, going from single pane windows to either double or triple pane windows.
Great. Question about insulation that's a mess. So many of us may have had an attic or such that critters have gotten into and made a mess of.
Sure.
Just removing old insulation and repairing missing pieces like wall boards, how does that play into the program?
Sure. So there's a fine line between damaged and more dangerous, right? If there's an infestation, that's something where you definitely want to have a professional remediation company come through, remove what's there if it's that contaminated with droppings or moisture, anything like that. The removal is not something the program typically handles, but the reinstallation side, absolutely. If it's a little bit tethered up and chewed up, but there's no infestation, most of what we do, honestly, it's left in place. As long as it's not a danger, our new insulation will compact what's there and build up the thermal boundary in the attic. So it's not, in most cases, not necessary to remove what's there unless, again, it's really damaged or it's dangerous.
Great. You mentioned a couple of things that are on the home energy assessment reports. Is that, how detailed does it get?
Sure. It's more of an overview. So you typically on page 2, you'll see a quick overview of everything as far as the instant savings measures, the light bulbs, shower heads, power strips, thermostats, what those could save you if you did install them. And in most cases, your specialist, if they're in person, will leave those for you to install. If it's virtually, again, we'll be shipping them out to you. And that shows you a breakdown of, again, all the annual savings that could be had if you install those, and hopefully that you do. Page 3 shows out everything. And if you go back to actually the case study, the example of my house, you'll see this is from page 3 of our report. So it lists out in a little bit more in detail square footages of materials that will be installed. So air sealing, door kits, door sweeps, what we call prop events, might be getting a little bit too in detail there. But in my case, the bath fan was invented. Our contractors tackled that to reduce any risk of moisture. Damming was to protect certain areas like the chimney. The hatch that went up to the attic was just a thin piece of wood. The insulation is now attached to the backside of it with some gasketing. So this again lists out all of the in-depth measures that can be done, totals up, again, your total value, the total cost, and what each of those measures could save you in a given year. So it gets pretty in-depth with what the insulation could do for you. And then page 4 is a very similar graph of any heating system upgrades. So it'll show you off the baseline of what you have in the home versus what the new system could look like, what your annual savings could estimated be. So whether going to a newer system or going from an oil boiler or furnace to a central or ductless mini split system, the savings will be listed out. That way you can make the most educated decision possible to see if that's something that's worth it to you.
Right. A couple questions on heat pumps again.
Sure.
If you are interested in heat pumps but not sure they'll work for you, do you need to start with a home energy assessment, or where do you start?
Sure. So if you're interested in just a brief overview, if you're getting an assessment, it's a good reason just to have us out anyway, so we can take a look at everything, and your specialist can definitely hit on the heat pumps. But we do have an awesome list of what we call our AC check registered contractors. You can find on our website. And they work through our program, and they'll be able to come out and talk to you about the size of the system, where the head units would be, if it's a good fit energy-wise, and give you a price quote for what that system might look like anyway. So, touching base with your specialist, getting the assessment to see if it's something, when you'd be qualifying, if the rebates exist for you in certain cases there, and see if it's something that maybe it's not the most efficient system, if you're on natural gas, for instance. But if it is something that the specialist feels is worth pursuing, connecting you with one of our AC check registered contractors that does the HVAC installations would be the next step from there. And working with them on a much more in-depth, fine-tooth comb approach to seeing if it's something that you want to pursue.
And you said that if you've already had an assessment and you think you're ready for a couple quotes for heat pumps, you could go to your list of AC qualified folks, and it's available on your website.
Yep, it's masssave.com/heating-cooling. And once you jump on there, there's going to be even more literature about heat pumps and different manufacturers and which contractors you guys can work through to see if that's something you want to pursue.
Great. I'm not seeing many new questions come in the chat, or any new questions. We want to pause for just a minute. Anyone that wants to type in a last question or two?
Sure, yeah, we'll give another minute, and then we'll move on. We're actually making great time. And so Mike, I'm happy you brought that up. On the page that's going to host the recording of this webinar, I'll also coordinate with you to provide that link, as well as other links that might be helpful to people. So we'll get some resources for you guys as well, covering some of the topics and questions that were brought up.
Good. We have another question that came in. Would you schedule an assessment through the website, or what's the best way to do the scheduling?
Yep. So we have a great call center staff that's available, and again, we can get the number for you there. It's 1-866-527-SAVE, or 1-800-SAVE, I believe that is. Yep, 527-SAVE. They'll connect you. They'll basically ask your address, some basic information. They'll ask for your utility bills. That way we can look up the rate codes, and again, connect you with our most available specialists at the time. That's typically how most customers get connected to us, is through the call center.
Right. Question on an old house and old insulation. How would the insulation get replaced?
Sure. So looking at, and again, there's going to be a huge range. There's no one magic bullet for every house. And that's really where the ingenuity and the knowledge base with our specialists comes into play. I was a specialist for many years doing this all across the state, so I got to see some very interesting things. And there's some consistencies between years and styles of homes, but again, every home is different. We have to treat it as such. So with that being said, older homes, think of turn of the century, 1900s, right? It wasn't standard practice to have wall insulation done. And the attics, maybe some was added over the last 100 years, but typically not enough. So in most cases, replacement isn't needed because it's either not there, or what's there is fine. It's just not quite enough. And what we do is build on top of that. It's not worth removing. It's still a decent insulator, even if it's really old, but we want to bulk it up so that it's up to the levels of our new stretch code. So it's about R49, which is a pretty good thermal blanket for the climate that we live in, to kind of, again, keep the home cool in the summer, warm in the winter.
All right. One more question back to mini splits and heat pumps. Do those interior wall heads have to be on an exterior wall?
Not in every case. With anything else that's a technology, they update quickly. So they do have units that go in the ceiling, which are actually really, really cool. So it looks almost like a big AC register, and that's the actual heat pump head unit. And the coolant lines run traditionally, again, right through the attic, or right to the compressor outside, but they don't need to be on the exterior wall in every case.
All right.
And when you guys do connect to your AC check contractors, your HVAC contractor, to discuss that, they'll have a huge pamphlet of different makes and models and all the different plug and play applications that you guys can choose from.
Good. I have a question about a specific area of a home. Pull down attic stairs.
Yes.
Are those looked at or covered?
Yeah. There are a few consistencies in what we see on a day-to-day basis. Is pull-down staircases and attic accesses either having very little or almost no insulation. And that's the perfect point. You hit the nail again, right on the head. Your pull-down staircase is typically about 3 feet wide by about 5 feet long. So you have a 15 square foot hole in the ceiling, which is essentially an open window. So when the attic's 140 degrees and your home's trying to be 75 degrees, that heat is driving right down inside the house. And in the winter, when your home's comfortably at 70 and your attic's at 20 degrees, it sucks the heat right out of the home. And we can't really seal off the area because we have to go up in the attic. So we do have solutions for that. It's called an attic stair cover, cleverly. And it's basically just a rigid foam board box, which is a very high insulation value box, about 2 inches thick on all 4 sides, all 6 sides. And the stairs actually retract up into that. So you won't be able to see it from the living space. It only goes up in the attic. It's got Velcro and weather stripping so that when it's sealed up, it's not allowing the heat to escape or the heat to come in the summertime. When you need to go up in the attic, you pop the 2 straps of Velcro off and the cover rolls into the attic, and they only weigh about 2 to 3 pounds. So they're not heavy, they're not that bulky, but it's a huge amount of energy savings.
Awesome. Going back to how people can reach you, is that calling that 1-866 mass save number is the best way to reach clear results?
Yep, absolutely. Yep, our call center will direct you to either the specialist if we were out there in the past to connect with you again, or if you want to get a new assessment and again, ask all your questions to the specialist. Again, our specialists are there for you for mostly education, right? Just kind of teaching you what you might not know about your home. And then if there are things you want to enact, again, they're going to be right there for you as your personal energy concierge to fully go through as much of that process as you want to. But yeah, the call center is definitely be a great starting point for you.
Awesome. The chat says, gives you guys a couple compliments. Nice work, Mike, Shawn. And I think that's what we have for questions today.
Perfect.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike and Amy. That was a valiant effort as I kind of sat there and watched and enjoyed all the great information. So we've gone through a lot today. I'm actually, before we get to our last slide for the program, I do want to briefly turn it over to Amy, who's going to tell us about a great program, a great new tool that she's been working on as part of Sustainable Framingham and in coordination with the Framingham Earth Day Festival. So Amy, I will hand it over to you.
Thanks, Shawn. So like Shawn said, I work with the grassroots group Sustainable Framingham, and we have been working hard on a tool. It's a web interactive community website with the Framingham Earth Day Festival. And what you can do here, we're trying to build a resource for people right here in Framingham to see what our neighbors have to say about the great work that Clear Result does, about the insulation, specific insulation contractors they get out to do the insulation. We are looking to start some campaigns around teams. So looking for ideas for neighborhood teams or school teams, really trying to build the use of this platform. You can track your own sustainability actions and look at your own carbon impact for yourself and for your team. And also we post various local and virtual events, such as this webinar is posted. So if you're interested in checking it out, the URL is at the bottom there, our webpage, community.massenergize.org/Framingham. And you can also find Energize Framingham on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks, Shawn.
Awesome. Thank you, Amy. So Mike, Amy, any last closing remarks?